Welcome back to Street Fighter 2010. We're now tackling Planet 2, which is an angry green planet. And the game couldn't imply that in any more direct manner. We're gonna have to kill a whole lot of these hunter drones in order to be able to exit this level. And stay tuned for the best power-up in the game. This self-portrait of yourself as drawn by Picasso is only an extra life, and well, into this game, dying, except for making you lose all of your attack power, well, losing all of your lives does nothing into this game. You have infinite continues, and it has absolutely no consequences that are different than whenever you die into a level and lose a life. Essentially, you're just trying to slow down the onslaught of game over screens that you'll see into this game all of the time. Alright, now it's time to take off the training wheels, because this is where the game gets serious. But thankfully we have a fully boosted attack power, and enjoy the sights while you can, because we're not gonna have this in any other level into the game. Oh no, the game is certainly not going to give us the mercy required in order to keep power-ups for very long. Into this level, you're gonna have to be acquainted with the climbing controls of this game, because climbing isn't done automatically into this game. You have to press the jump button whenever you're over a surface that can be climbed, and while at first this is not obvious in the slightest, after playing this game a while, you will realize that there was a reason for this to happen, because you do need some of the extra control that you might have whenever you decide to grab a ledge or not, because there are some levels, especially this one, where just deciding to cling on the surface at the right moment will actually matter into the gameplay. And yeah, during all of that time you have to avoid a lot of things, and there's also this little crawly dude which is at the worst place ever. You pretty much have to lure it down a whole lot, and then finally you'll be able to make your way down. It really isn't an easy game. It's almost as if the designers realized that too, because the rest of the level is a complete cakewalk. It's like, oh, there's an enemy in the way, but you can shoot him from there, so there's absolutely no problem. So just boost up your attack power, and you're ready to face the boss. Usually, the scrolling levels in this game tend to be the longest stages of the game, and this one is no exception. As for the plant, it's not really a hard boss. Once again, this plant doesn't have a name because there's only 8 enemies into this entire game which have a name. But yeah, the only thing that matters is that you do not do this. These diagonal kicks, whenever you have a high attack power, are completely useless because they arc around so much. And yeah, this game doesn't have any checkpoints just in case that you ask. And we no longer have our awesome attack power, so it's time to start again from the start. But hey, at least this time around I'll be able to talk a little bit more about this one section where you have to avoid the flying parrots, because this one section can be pretty deadly. But essentially the only trick to these guys is that you do not stand on the branch where they had, because otherwise it will make it very hard for you to actually deal with them. Whoops. When I told you that we had to watch for them, because the first one that we encountered spelled our doom. So let's try to boost our attack power without dying this time around. It really will be a nice change of pace. But yeah, this section is pretty hard, mainly because you're trying all of the time to jump around, trying to avoid all of these things, and usually they always spawn at the place where you are, so you need some pretty skillful jumping and... Okay, you pretty much gave me a heart attack, Mr. Ken Striker. Oh, and also you have a pretty crappy attack power should you happen to restart this level, and things really get hairy whenever they get into your feet or into your face. Alright, there's no way that we can miss this jump. Okay, I spoke too soon. So it happens that we had our first game over, and guess what? There's absolutely nothing that will change about our fate, because, hey, you see, you restart at the same exact level. You're not even handicapped by going back to the beginning of the planet that you're at. No, you're back at the same level, so essentially this entire screen is completely useless. So yeah, I left in a couple of my mistakes into this one level because I really wanted to show a more genuine feel of how Street Fighter 2010 usually plays. And when I first played through this game again when I was preparing this Let's Play, I died about 5 or 6 times more than that, so yeah. All in all, this game can be a nasty one. But it gets a lot easier whenever you finally get used to the controls of this game. Alright, guess who learned from all of his past mistakes? Me! Yes! Let's give me a round of applause, everybody. I finally learned how to outsmart the dumbest things in the world. But maybe the dumbest entities of this world are smarter than the smartest things of his world. Case in point, because for some reason I completely forgot how to deal with this one enemy, even though he should be really useless. And let's try to not die while getting these power-ups, shall we? Because we do not want Ken to be sucked into a black hole of non-existential factor. So usually what you'll want to do for the plant is just to stay onto the bottom ground here in order to be able to attack him freely. If you can attack him in the air, this is also a good thing because your punches will do more damage. But make sure to not miss, because if you miss, you cannot punch more than once whenever you jump. So usually this kind of fight requires a little bit more finesse, but here we go, we've managed to finally put an end to this treacherous level. And you can pretty much be sure that this kind of difficulty will become the norm in the game, and not the exception. That was a really great level. Time to go to the next scene. And nobody wants to see this embodied eye behind your eye. This is a pretty expensive battle arena, but ironically enough, you'll probably want to stay at the same place, because the treacherous level design will pretty much give you no room for your mistakes. Or sometimes you can still die doing that as well, which is kind of a bad thing, because in this level there's absolutely no power-up pickup at all. So if you end up with your crappy punch, that's all you're getting for this level. Also, this level introduces a new enemy, the little flying highballs that shoot lasers at you. These are called the Seeker drones. And likewise, the flying robots with jets are called the Hunter drones. Yeah, they took the time to give names to the really small machines that fly into the air, but the huge large plants that go all over the place into this planet, nah, they don't need a name. People are just gonna figure them out, and they're just gonna call them all Uncle Bob. But yeah, essentially into this one level, you'll want to alternate between the top and the down portion, because those branches will pretty much give away under your weight, so you'll have to be constantly on the move. Nobody escapes Puke City that easily, Kevin Stryker. And that's right, I'm calling you by your Japanese name. And I really don't know what to say anymore, because there's honestly nothing to say about this part of the game whatsoever. But yeah, whenever the flying machines, or the hunter drones as you may call them, just end up flying really close to the ground, there's absolutely nothing that you can do in order to hit them, because unfortunately, you cannot duck into this game. Also, as soon as you're finished with the level, the hunter drones will start spawning on the ground, which can be hard to avoid. One level ago we had the small highball robots, and now we have a gigantic highball in the sky. And coincidentally enough, this is one of those bosses that is pretty much gonna start making you scratch your head, because this is really the first big challenge of the game. Forget about the climbing stage, it's all about fighting that gigantic highball base. And once again, there are no range pickups into this level at all, so if you're stuck with no range whatsoever, this is what you'll have to fight the highball with. And once again, this is really fun to do, but thankfully there's a trick that you can use in order to fight it. Unfortunately, this can be rendered hard due to the way the highball base spits all of these boogers all over the place. You're having a cold, and this is why you're crying, baby. In order to attack the highball base, you pretty much have to wait for the wall of boogers to be fully constructed, you stare toward the right, and you stand on the left side of the platform, and whenever it'll be low enough, you'll be able to land a couple of hits in, and you should be able to kill it fast enough. That is provided you don't get killed by every single other obstacle in the world. Once you get to this phase of the fight, it both becomes easier and harder, because it's nowhere near as difficult to hit the highball into this phase, but it's also a lot easier for it to hit you. Ideally, you'll want to keep a whole lot of health in order to deal with the last phase of the boss, because at this point you can pretty much just rush ahead and just land a couple of hits on the boss and hope that you kill it before you finally die. It's not the most efficient strategy in the world, but it works. Besides, this is the last level of this planet, and whenever you finish a planet, your health is entirely refilled, so just enjoy this opportunity. Nobody will blame you for that. But yeah, whenever you get the Highball into a good loop like that, you can pretty much destroy it really quickly. But this is where I start having a whole lot more problem. Alright, will my incompetence prevail? Whew, that was a pretty close one. And now the boogers have solidified. What a sad end for this boss. And god, another Highball! How many Highballs are there into this game? Holy shit! You're still pursuing me. Go home now, and I promise I won't hurt you because, well, absolutely nothing of this sort happened so far. Oh hey, what kind of help are you going to give us, buddy? Oh, I'm gonna help you by directing you to the next place where you have to kill my minion. Oh, and by the way, I'll give you a bonus power-up that will fade away as soon as you die. And we're sure that will never happen again, isn't it? In the next video, the Sahara Desert moves to Mars.